printed out each page. I went through, looked at each yardage, put in the come ups that I had for any given thing here, and yeah, you'll see where I make a mistake with this one later. And then anyway, these are bad examples because like this is the same and this is the same, but there were five different stages, and I just went through and made one because I didn't know if he was going to be assigning the version one or version two, so I wanted come ups for all the possible options. So just something I did to try to be prepared. I'd say for the most part, this actually helped quite a bit. Um, Except for the fact that, as you'll see in a little bit, I wasn't paying attention on this particular one, which ended up costing me a lot of points. So anyway, let's take a look at some shooting. All right, here we are. This is sight in time. So there's targets out there to shoot at, and then some that we can't that are part of the stages. So we got about half an hour. Let's see what we can do. And I just thought I would kind of show, this was during sighters. So you get about half an hour. NRL22 rules say that you have to give competitors 30 minutes for sight in. And I just thought this is about the best chance I'm going to have to show you me operating the gun. You know, I'm still getting used to the gun, still learning how to be fluid. There's going to be a couple different times with me doing this, but what I'm doing is I'm practicing dialing up and down. So I had my scope originally set for about 27 minutes to go out to the back of the wall, which is like 221 yards, shooting at a hanging ram plate, and then I came in real quick to, I think it was 135 yards. So I was dialing up real quick, dialing down, shooting 5 rounds and coming down and shooting 5 rounds, changing position a little bit. And I did this for the better part of 20 minutes, probably shot 40, 50 rounds. And it was just really good practice for me, picking two different distances, dialing, figuring out how to set parallax and things like that. So that's all this was. It was nothing formal, but I thought it would be the best chance for you guys to see, kind of me on top of the gun right now. From my first NRL22 match, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Certainly learned a lot. I'll do my best to kind of work through this. I don't have a lot of video of me shooting. In fact, I don't really have any shooting during the actual match. It's just tough. I don't have anybody that can shoot the video. My club has some interesting rules, obviously, where they try to not get the actual club too much in video footage. So I have to do my best to keep members out and stuff like that. So I'm working on that part, but I'll do my best to walk through what happened, things I learned, mistakes I made, and I can't wait to go back. I'll tell you that much. So here's the actual course of fire, and I'll just tell you that we started all the way down here on the very last one, called the Weight of the World. So my squad was on the last one. This is number 5. There's actually 6 different stages, 5 of which are designated, and then there's a bonus stage which the match director came up with. I'll explain that one in a minute. So this one was called Weight of the World. You had 2 minutes to shoot it. It was a round count of 10. And then the match directors are given one of 2 options. They can either choose option 1 or option 2. All but one stage today was run on option 2, so everything was at longer stages when possible. Something like this, it was obviously at a shorter one. And so here's how this works. And a lot of you know this already, but I'm just walking through for the people that don't. And obviously, this was something I was learning over the last week. So option 2, this is what we were shooting at. It explains to you how you start your position. So starting position, you're standing, rifle in your hand, gear in your hand, like a bag. I had a game changer I was borrowing. Mag in, action open. And then down here, you'll see where there's a sawhorse, a bucket, and a chair. And the way it works is you start and you take 2 shots from the sawhorse. Then you stand up and freehand it, kind of like you see the biathlon shooters do in the Olympics. Let me tell you, that is an absolutely horrific experience. As somebody who does not shoot from a standing position very well. Then you go down to the bucket, then you stand up again, then you go down to the chair. So 2 shots standing, 2 on the bucket, 2 standing, 2 on the chair, 10 total. And you basically go back and forth on the large and small targets at 85 yards here. So I didn't do too bad. In fact, here's my score from this one. it wasn't a great start. Obviously I dropped a lot, but like when I say it didn't go bad, I just was trying to go. I honestly went really slow, was just trying to kind of feel everything out. And, obviously I missed a bunch. I was getting used to how to use the bags. My buddy was helping me out as much as he could as far as how you lay out the game changer bag. And in the coming weeks, I'll do a couple videos on that because I'm definitely learning a lot very quickly and I can see what works. And this is definitely a game where you learn from watching others very easily. A lot different than F class. In F class, you really don't learn a lot from watching shooters. You don't know what they're thinking. You don't know what they're aiming at. You often can't see the impacts because they're so far away. It's a very different kind of game. It's very, very isolated, very, individual. This is very, very different for me. And so being able to watch guys shoot and see, you get a very raw feedback. Okay, he's holding his bag like this and he's hitting a lot. Okay, this guy's doing that. He's not hitting a lot. And yes, I know there's other things like whether they have their gun properly sighted and things like that, but you can definitely tell the positions that work and the positions that don't. So after this, we moved on to the bonus stage. Now, I don't have a picture of the bonus stage, but for the purposes, I'm just going to use kind of this grid. And what there was is there was a bench over here in the corner and a tripod with a bag on top, or you could use the Arca clamp. And there was a target out at 220, and then like 170, and then 160, or 135, then 160, and then like 75. So there was 5 targets. You took 2 shots at each one, but it was set up to be very difficult. So you could shoot next to the bench, but the bench was angled away from the firing line, so you couldn't put an entire rifle on the bench at one time. So you had to body support it if you did that. You could shoot prone, but then you couldn't really see the targets all that well because of the way the berms in front of it was. And you could shoot off the tripod, but then it just wasn't 100% comfortable necessarily if you weren't used to doing it. So anyway, I chose to shoot off the bench, and I felt like I had a pretty good hold on it. Uh, for whatever reason, I had been shooting for the last couple of days, getting practiced, and I had shot a couple of these targets where they were more or less, and didn't have a problem hitting. And it could have been nerves, could have been body position, trigger pulling, whatever. But I was a little bummed. I should have hit some of those further out targets. They were pretty good size for what they were, and um, it wasn't great. I struggled with one target because see how on this target hanger it's hanging up above and then the stand comes down. Well, this target was down at the bottom, but there was still a hanger kind of sticking up. And so I couldn't find the target because I kept looking and I kept saying, oh, it's not there. It's not there. I was wasting too much time. So I actually just skipped these 2 targets and took 2 misses and went to the next one. So these first 2 stages really not great. Like good learning. Again, taking my time, almost running out of time each time, barely making the 2 minute limit. But cycled all my rounds. Everything felt good. Again, I was here to learn. I wasn't expecting to win the thing. So then after this, we went and we rotated back to the first one, which was time to pay the tax man. And again, this was at 68 and 143 yards. This was off of a tank trap. All of the matches except for one, all the stages I think were pretty much standing rifle in hand with gear kind of thing. So the way this worked is you have this tank trap, which is 3 giant boards that make a big asterisk looking thing on the ground, and you had to take a shot. You could choose the order, but you basically had to choose off. You had to shoot off both bottoms that were touching, any 2 points that were up in the air, and then ones from the center. And having watched a couple guys ahead of me, I sort of quickly learned that you start upper left, then go down to the center, then upper right, then down, and then across. So you kind of just make a clock around in some fashion, so that you're not like weaving your way around and forgetting what position you need to go to next. And that worked very well for me. In fact, here's my score for that. And you can see that I was very happy with this. You engage, you can see here, shooter will transition to new position, engage near targets, large to small. So, and then you would go back and forth. And I was really happy. This felt good. I was getting more comfortable with my gun, more comfortable with holding the bags. And, overall, again, very happy. Then we moved to hunting for Easter eggs, which again was at option 2, 96 and 134 yards. This one here, again, we were standing. And then this is your classic ladder shooting. Instead of a ladder, it was a box, like a staggered box that represented a ladder. My club has some very specialized rules for safety, so they can't use a ladder because it's too likely to induce an elevated barrel that might send a round out into the surrounding neighborhoods. So we have a just a like a flat panel box, and then there were different elevations across it that were numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see here that, obviously you have 6 cards. It's a 12 round stage if you look up here. So 12 rounds. And you had somebody, again, for safety purposes at our range, somebody has to flip the cards over and yell at you what number is chosen, but you don't know what's coming. And again, I felt really good about this. I made it through all 12 rounds. Not everybody on my squad was able to get 12 rounds off through all 6 positions. I think I did it with like 1 second left, but it felt really good. Again, not the best score, not the greatest score, but it felt good. Uh, then we moved on to Quick as an Easter Bunny. And this one used a KYL rack, which I've never shot it. I haven't shot most of these targets before, but I've definitely never shot a KYL rack. And this is a Know Your Limits rack, is what that stands for. And I guess it's because you've got these tiny little um, swingers. And I mean, this bottom one was, I mean, it couldn't have been more than, I don't know, half an inch maybe in diameter. The bigger ones, maybe an inch in diameter. And they're only 35 yards away, but again, it's not super easy. And then we have a bigger target back here at 100. So this one is where I learned a new technique, which, again, I know it's not new to a lot of you, but I learned to put my dope in for 35 yards, and then I did hold off for the 100 because you're going back and forth. So you shoot this one here. So you shoot, then shoot, then shoot, then shoot, then shoot. So there's no way that you could dial up and down fast enough to accomplish this target, because you have to start at the back wall, run up here, lay down prone, shoot a rack, bang, 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 drop your magazine, run back to the wall, come back, shoot, bang, 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 all while doing a mag change and running to the wall. And because of what the match was, again, option two, you only had 90 seconds, not even two full minutes. I thought I was going to do horrible on this one. I'm going to show you my score real quick. And you can see that I did really well in this. Like, I was honestly really nervous about this one. There's a lot going on, a lot of things to forget. But I got down, and I mean, I was banging the KYL rack. I was hitting this rack. I finished with 4 seconds to spare. So that's great in my mind. Again, this is my first time out. Speed was less of a concern than accuracy, but I was very focused on getting all my shots off. I did not want to leave any shots on the table. Uh, so, there definitely was kind of a finding a medium there. So this one, again, these are three in a row where after the first two, I felt really good, or that I was at least understanding it, but I shot horrible. The next three, I think I was doing much better. Like, I wasn't obviously at the top of the leaderboard, but I thought I was accomplishing a pretty good score along the way. So then we get to the last one, and here's where I learned my second lesson of the day, which is make sure you understand what your distances are. So I had done homework ahead of time. I had little posts. I had printed out these pages. I had done all my come ups ahead of time. I did not know whether he was going to run option one or option two. So I had calculated dopes for all of these and put little post it notes like up here and then, obviously down here. And so I had my option one come up and I had my option two come up. And uh, everything else we had shot all day was option two. So in my head, this was option two as well, but in fact, it was actually option one. Well, that's a difference of like, I don't know, it was like 3 minutes to come up to 75 yards or 6.1 for me to come up to 100 yards. And I mean, that's a huge difference. So this should have been a pretty easy one. It's an angled roof line. It's actually a table that's folded down. You shoot from the top, down halfway at the bottom, and then twice off the bucket. And you're going back and forth between these targets. So bang, bang, and then you move, and then bang, bang, and you move, and then bang, bang. this should not have been difficult. I feel like my gun was running great. I knew where it was hitting, and yet I couldn't hit this thing to save my life. I only got 2 out of 10. In fact, here's my scorecard for this one. And you can see it's horrific. So I don't even honestly know how I hit those two, knowing what I know now. But with a come up at six, and then what should have been a come up at like I think it was like 2 point something or three. I don't know what happened. So I get up from the ground, and I'm just really dejected because I'm like, man, I did so well in those last three. I can't figure out what happened here. And the guy's like, well, how much, what was your come up? And I said, I don't know, like 6 minutes because it's 100 yards. And he goes, that was weren't at 100 yards. He goes, those were 75-yard targets. He goes, you had the wrong come up. You had to come up for option two. And I'm like, ah. So, I feel like I easily left, probably another 6 or 7 targets I could have hit here, given how I'd been shooting. And that's just lessons you learn. So, that's just something to file away. It's kind of like shooting a miss because you don't look at the right target in F class. Everybody does it and everybody learns from it. It hurt, but again, good learning. So, that's what I had. And then obviously this is the one I already shot. So, I'm really happy with it. I'm going to show you the final rundown here in a minute of how I did compared to everybody else. But I can't complain. I had a great time, a lot of good people. I really enjoyed shooting 22, like really enjoyed it. It felt really good. It was fun. It was a lot less gear on the line. My shoulder doesn't hurt from carrying stuff, back to the car like it does with F class. So I really, really enjoyed myself. I'll definitely be back for next month's match, and I'm really looking forward to participating in this. Um, so that's about all I've got to say on it. Here's the final scores, and I'll give you some final thoughts. Here we go. It looks like I finished fifth place, and there were some people who didn't finish. My buddy down here, CJ, I think he had 440 points, but it doesn't count since he DNF'd because he had to go early for an Easter family event. But he was just killing it. Cleaned a couple of the rounds, and he was doing really, really great. So yeah, stage six, that was the bonus round. He cleaned it, and then the tank trap he cleaned over here. But yeah, I was really happy. So I finished with 284 points, and 60%, which after that last match or the last stage I was telling you about where I really shanked it, I was doing a little better before that, but yeah, that hurt. So yeah, so I got 7 out of 10 here on the tank trap, 5 out of 10 on the Easter egg. This one I was really proud of. I didn't even realize this, but I had the high score on this one, which was the know your limits target one where you had to get up, you had to run, grab your mag, load it. And then the one thing I didn't mention about this one is that half of the match was shot from your strong side. And then when you got up and ran and came back and put in the second magazine, you had to shoot from your weak side of the gun. So that made it even more challenging. The only upside is that that's something I actually practice in F class. So, um, it's kind of funny. So I was actually pretty comfortable shooting that one. And then this one here is where I really blew it. This is the Patriots Day. This was the last stage that I shot, and I got 2 out of 10 because I screwed up and doped for 100 instead of for 75, and that just hurt there. So, Weight of the World, that was my first one that I was telling you about, where I got 2 out of 10, and then this one 3 out of 10. So, anyway, really happy. Shoot, it was just fun. There's all different levels out there. You can see there's base guns and open guns, and it was just a really great time. So, I will 100% be back, and I am 100% committed to getting better at this. I'm probably a little too competitive sometimes, but now that I've seen what's involved and I kind of have a better way to know what to practice for, to know, like some of this is, just getting used to shooting the gun. Some of it's position, some of it's making sure that I'm doping my gun properly, getting all of my known distances set properly. So there's just a lot of things involved with it, but at least I know, having shot the match now, kind of how they all work together. And as my buddy CJ says, and I think this is true in a lot of disciplines, you're never done learning. He goes, he told me every time I go to a match, I'm watching everybody. I learn a little trick here, how to hold yourself, a different way to pinch the gun, things like that. So I'm excited to learn some new tricks, get better control on my gun, and hopefully that'll translate better to F class as well. So anyway, well, thanks for coming along on my first NRL 22 match. I'll definitely have you along for more of my practices and kind of the things I'm working on. I got another NRL 22 gun that's en route that I should have this week, and that's my Bergara B14. And I'm not going to say you won't see some other 22 guns showing up because I'm just having too much darn fun with this, and it's only been a couple weeks. So I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.